بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك أرحم الراحمين. So inshallah, before we start, we'll do a recap. MashaAllah, some of the students who've been coming to all the classes, we learned about the 5 maxims of fiqh. And this is something that we said, this is every time in your ibadah, this is something that's used every time, regardless of who you are. So what are these maxims, inshallah? If you can say them in Arabic, it's even better. But if you can tell me the meaning, that's fine as well. MashaAllah, yes.
Intention. Individual depends on the intention of maximum.
Yes. So, in simple words, it means is affairs are judged on your motives. So whatever the action that you did is judged on your intention. Al-umuru bimaqasidiha. Okay. What's the second one?
Al-yaqinu la yazilu bi-shaq.
Yeah, al-yaqinu la yazilu bi-shaq. So basically, what does that mean?
Whatever is explicit, confirmed, it's not overruled by a doubt.
That's right. So that's right. So if you're certain about something, that cannot be voided by shak or doubt. It cannot be done by that. For example, if you're standing in the salah and you feel like your stomach is rumbling, but if you haven't heard the sound, or if you've not smelt anything, you still stay in the salah because you're certain, that's yaqeen. But if you come to the masjid and you forgot that you have wudu or not, now this is a shak, and this is no yaqeen. You don't have a yaqeen of wudu. So in that case, you're going to actually do wudu, inshallah. What's the second one? What's the third one?
Al-mushaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir.
Yes, al-mushaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir. So hardship, when it comes, Allah brings the ease with that. So that's something very important. And what's the fourth one? Al-aada muhakkama. So basically what this means is the norms and the customs will take precedence. So I gave you the example when you're looking after your wives, and if you are a rich man, and that's the aada, this is a simple example. Okay, aada al-muhakkama actually is that if your custom is not against the sharia, then you can, your custom will take precedence. Now the imam, this is the masjid which is the Hanafis. And the Hanafis, they want the imam to wear at least a turban or a hat. But if you go to other masajid, and this is sunnah of Rasulullah, you can pray without the hat as well. But then if the imam comes to the masjid and he's not wearing hat, purposely he's not choosing to wear hat because he knows this is the aada, this is the custom of the people, then he's falling in the category of makruh. He's doing something which is karaha. So al-aada muhakkama is your customs. They will always take precedence if they're not against the sunnah. If they're not against the sharia, your customs will take precedence. For example, there's a particular dress. Everyone has a dress. You come from your country, you have a dress. The Arabs wear the jubba or the thawb or whatever. They've got their dresses. As long as it's not against the sharia. We wear in this country, it doesn't mean we have to always wear the jubba. Or in this country we wear trousers, we wear shirts, it's okay. This is something in Islam, Islam allows that. As long as we cover the awrah and something that is loose, it's fine, inshallah. Yes.
So in this simple situation, let's say in this country, some brothers work in a corporate workplace, and their muhakkama, their aada is actually have some kind of professional dress up. And I mean, professional dress means a formal dress up, some let's say pants, shirts, so that everyone on the same, In that kind of scenarios, does this can you say that we should also have that kind of dress ups?
Yeah. So
you don't go with this jubba and hat and
This is very well said. Yes, we should actually follow the aada of the work. We should not reinvent the principles. SubhanAllah, sometimes we bring problems to ourselves by dressing up outside the norm. and we should not be doing that. You chose to come to this country, and there is nothing haram in wearing those clothing. Some people make it a mission that I have to wear that. But let's say you're an imam and you're working in a masjid. This is your dress. You don't turn up to the masjid in 3/4. Or it's not haram to pray in the 3/4 as long as you're covering the knee. You know, Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam al-Shafi'i awra is if you cover the knee and it exposes in ruku, and in the salah it exposes, your salah is valid. Yes. Yes, because when you started the salah, your knee was covered. But if you're Imam Abu Hanifa from the Hanafis, they say your salah is batil. You have to repeat your salah. Why? Because your awrah was uncovered. So there is a difference of opinion even between the imams as well. Yes.
Is that an exceptional case?
No, it's not an exceptional case.
So even if you know that it's going to go up and you still show up in...
Well, if you know that, if in your mind, if you knew something is like that, then you should not wear something like that. See, subhanAllah, we always say this. When you come to the masjid, mashallah, we all sit over here. When we go to the corporate environment, we want to dress up. We wear our clothes. We make sure we go in the morning, everything is done. But when we come to the masjid, mashallah, we come in sleeping suits. We come with the gown, and we are looking for the exceptional case, and we're looking for everything else. This should not be the case. When you're coming to the masjid, you should be like that. Subhanallah, sometimes, and I tell you, one day, it's been a couple of times. In the night, I go for a run. So at the masjid, I come in the trousers and t-shirt. Everyone looks at me, and but this is, because I don't have time after that. So after the run, I have a t-shirt which is not sweaty. So I just change that shirt in the car to go to the masjid. So when I turn up, people say, mashallah, we didn't recognize you. So I say that we should take time out from even our busy schedule to actually go and change our clothes according to the masjid attire. We should at least come to the masjid. SubhanAllah, sometimes I come to the masjid, I see what the color of the underwear of the people they're praying behind me, in front of me. It happens. SubhanAllah, we're saying A'udhu Billah, but this happens while salah is distracted. Why? Because people do not cover themselves properly. It's very important that we have to cover ourselves properly. Al-Adam Muhakkama does not mean everyone is wearing a short and that we have to wear shorts as well. No. We have in Islam, men also have hijab. Our hijab is also to cover the awrah and to look down. To look down and to also look after our glance as well. So that's our hijab. So we are very critical of the sisters, but we're not critical for ourselves. We have to dress up in a particular way, inshallah. Yes. Sorry? The third maxim is al-mushaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir. So with the hardship, Allah brings the ease. So this is very easy. When you're traveling, you don't have to pray full salah. So when there's no water, you can do tayammum. This is what this means. All right. So who can tell me the fifth maxim? Ad-dararu yuzal. So basically, harm must be eliminated. So when the harm comes, it has to be eliminated. So we should not be waiting for the harm. And this is something, I gave you the example last week as well, that you should not, when the house is burning, you have to eliminate the harm, meaning you cannot, I was praying and you die in the process. I did not save anyone. So when there is a difficulty in that case, you have to eliminate the harm. And also with that, al-mushaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir. With the hardship, Allah also send the ease that you can break your salah. So when it comes to fard salah, see, subhanAllah, the ulama actually went that far as well, and they said, when it comes to fard salah, it was sunnah salah, sunnah. And if your parents called you, then you have to break your salah in order to go and to listen to what your parents are saying. This is your sunnah salah, not the fard salah, but the sunnah. So you're in salah, your parents called you. Today, mashallah, regardless of fard or sunnah, our children are playing games and we call them 1, twice, 3, 4 times. They don't even listen to us. This is, subhanAllah, this is the time that we live in. We don't even raise our children that way. Also, I gave you the 6 kinds of hijrah in Islam. Does anyone remember that? Yes.
So before we get to go to the next one, on this one, this part is from that if you are praying for salah and then we're in the masjid,
Yes.
and the person next to you collapses.
Yes, you break your salah. You have to save his life. Life takes precedence. You break your salah. If you see someone's collapsed and you know something harm has happened, you have to break your salah in order to save him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in our religion, subhanAllah, we sit over here regardless of who we are. And this comes to a point that we should not be shy of condemning what is, we believe in adl, okay? We have insaf and adl in our religion. We cannot say if Muslims kill children and women, that's okay. No. Our religion says if children and women are not to be harmed, they're not to be harmed. Even if we kill them, we have to condemn that. We don't condone that. This is our religion. Our religion came, subhanAllah, our religion was not made on the whims and desires and shahwat. No. Our religion is based on haqa'iq. You know, we have rules and regulations. And we have to work with that. This is what our religion is. We cannot be like, subhanAllah, like other people and we say, oh no, because they killed my children, I will kill their children. It doesn't work like that. Our religion is very different from other people's religion. We do not work. SubhanAllah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is a tangent, very quick tangent. When he came to Quraysh, when he had the power to kill all of them, and at that time he said, فَأَنْتُمُ الطَّلَقَةِ, like, we forgive all of you. You're gone, you're free now, go. لَا تَثْرِيبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْيَوْمِ. Today there's no retribution. So this is what our religion is. You know, even when Salah ad-Din, he came inside Palestine and he knew what the Crusaders did. You know, if you know the history, when the Crusaders came and they killed everyone, regardless of the Jew or the Muslim, they said the water, the blood was up to the ankles in Quds when the crusade came. When Salah ad-Din came, he remembered what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam when he came, and also he remembered Umar ibn al-Khattab when he came into al-Quds, that he did not kill anyone. This is Muslim, this is Islam. We do not go after the blood of people. We are people of justice regardless of what's happened to us. And that's why we say, and subhanAllah, this is my opinion, but you don't have to follow my opinion, and I say the boycotts, they bring nothing. Okay, this is why, and I actually don't believe in a boycott. I never go to a boycott. We've got other ways to do things, and in order, but mashallah, people are doing it. And I've heard one of the alim said in the Middle East, he said people in Gaza, they don't listen to your du'as. They don't listen to your, your salahs and everything. But what they see on internet is when you go and you protest. So they look at your numbers and they feel happy. So they're seeing that. So some ulama actually say you can protest. I have a fundamental difference between the protests. Why? Because when you go to these protests, it becomes a concert, a Demu Philistine, and people are dancing and women are there and other things that happen over there. So it's better to stay away from the fitna. But I'm not telling you people not to go.
When we used to organize the protest, we don't have dancing, beating, no. I have joined a couple of protests. It's really, there's no dancing, no singing, no music. But yes, of course, the women are there. And they maintain, distance and also dress code and also. And the good point is that that is also making some difference in public opinion.
Yes.
The Albanese government, just the very first public, official statement when this conflict broke out, he says Gaza is terrorist and we are on with Israel. Right? This is the Albanese statement, official statement, the very first one. Then, because of public pressure from the Muslims, demonstrations, protests, and some kind of, they went to Canberra and did some, put some, their statements to the government. Then, last couple of weeks ago, they says a Palestine lives matter just as an Israeli lives matter. A very balanced statement. And this happened, Sheikh, just because we showed our presence on the street. We showed our president. Last week, 60,000 Muslims are protesting. And they knew it. And because of this pressure, they changed their official statement and says, and this is very good news for us, that every Palestinian lives matter just as an Israeli lives matter. And this is what we want. And if we work in all of the across the globe.
See, subhanAllah, you said it. We all have our job. Everyone has a job. You think you can make difference with the protests, you make a difference between that. Some people can make a difference by a boycott, they make a difference from that. So the idea is when something is halal, when the hadith is al-halalu bayyin wal-haramu bayyin, we should not go and tell someone, oh, why are you eating that or why are you drinking that? Halal is halal. If he's buying something halal, we should not be stopping him. Yes, if we all come together and we want to stop and harm someone, understand, people say boycott McDonald's. Do you know McDonald's in Arabian countries, they're franchises. It's owned by a Muslim brother. So he's the one who is actually has to give money to McDonald's. You don't go to the McDonald's, you're only harming the man who has to pay $100,000 for his franchise by the end of the idea is not that. And subhanAllah, we sometimes we just go by desires. What we hear, we do not do our investigation. The Middle East McDonald's, they gave Oman and Qatar, the Middle East McDonald's over there, they gave a statement that we are dedicating $100,000 for the people. I think it was $300,000 for the people in Gaza. So they gave a statement. So understand, sometimes don't look at people in a negative way. Do not have that tunnel vision that we have today. Or I saw that man buying Starbucks. But for me, I would not, personally myself, we also have something in ourselves, which is, we have this ghira, sort of, which is, we've got something, the jealousy for our brothers who are dying. And Starbucks, I believe, that we can buy other coffees from other places. So we should avoid Starbucks at every cost, because we know the Starbucks, the connection with the Zionism and everything with this product that comes from. I personally myself would feel sick in my stomach if I knew that I'm buying something and the money is going straight to kill the brothers. So we should all have it, but at the same time, I believe that we should not be stopping people, and it's not our job, and to call someone, oh, this guy is a kafir because he was holding a Starbucks coffee. No, we don't know what's the hal. We don't know what his situation is. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us to the right path, and may Allah make it easy for us, inshallah. So moving on to the hadith, we spoke about there are 6 kinds of hijrah, inshallah. I'm quickly going to go through the hijrahs and we are going to move on. So the first hijrah is from kufr to Islam. That's the first kind of hijrah. The second hijrah is from the bid'ah to sunnah. And the third kind of hijrah is from haram to halal, where haram is dominant to come to place where halal is dominant. Okay? And the fourth kind of hijrah, where bodily harm, where you fear that you will have bodily harm. You look at some of the people, subhanallah, right now no one is speaking about other Muslim countries that are dying. And if you know, in the Arab region, there is a country in Africa, Sudan. They are going through difficulty at the moment. There's suffering, there's killing, there's rampant killing. The government over there, no one speaks about their problems. You should ask the people in the region of Sudan they come from. There's a war, there is kind of a civil war happening. People dying over there. Ethiopia, people dying. The Muslims are being killed in Ethiopia. Muslims are suffering everywhere. The problem is that we focus on one issue and we forget people in other places. People are dying in Kashmir. 70 years of Kashmir's persecution. People actually don't know. From 1948, when Pakistan took the 1/3 of Kashmir, which is Azad Kashmir, and the other part of Kashmir, which is part of India. Now that's divided into 3 states as well. Before it was only Jammu and Kashmir. Now there's about 3 different states in that part of Kashmir as well. So they're dying over there. People dying in China. People dying everywhere. People dying in Burma. Like if people come from Bangladesh, you know, from your country, the Rohingya, the people that you've given refuge in Bangladesh, they are the ones who are being killed by the monks as well. So everywhere people are dying. So we should be mindful of what's happening around the world, and we should be looking at these matters very, very closely, you know, so we can rally for everyone. We're not saying not to rally for Palestine, we're saying to rally for every brother. This is, you know, subhanAllah, everyone, this is, Muslims are all colors, all kinds of people. Muslims are from white color, from brown color, from black color, every color. You find every color, all kinds of Muslims. So from the bodily harm, where there's and most of us sitting over here, we came, wallahi we came, some of the reasons is bodily harm, because we knew we will not be we will be killed, or someone will be harmed in our family or kidnapped, and then we came to these countries so we can live in you know, without the fear of death. Also, some people, the fear of disease. So people migrate for the fear of disease to come to a place where there's no disease or no fear of disease. Also, most of us are also part of this category where we fear our property and our wealth. Someone will come and rob our property or take our property or our wealth, and we come to a place where we know there'll be security for our wealth and our property as well. Also, some ulama, they put 3 conditions for migration. The first condition, that you're doing active da'wah. Okay, that's the first condition. The second condition, they said, if you're not doing active da'wah, then you should be learning knowledge or seeking knowledge. That's the second condition, they said. And they said, if that's not even the condition in your life, then you should only be migrating to a land which is of kufr, only to seek medical attention or medical treatment, because that's why you should go. Now this is the opinion of Shaykh Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. Now I disagree with this opinion. I disagree with this opinion. Why? Because I gave you some of the reasons, and even Quran said this, and this is the ayah in Surah Tawbah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كَانَ مُؤْمِنُونَ لِيَنْفِرُوا كَافَّةً فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ تَائِفَةً ليفقهوا في الدين لينذروا قومهم إذا رجعوا إليهم لعلهم يحذرون. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that from the believers there are people that are fighting, and they've been dispersed and they're fighting for the sake of Allah. But also from them are the firqa minhum ta'ifa ليتفقهوا, that these are the people that understand the knowledge. ليتفقهوا في الدين. So they are the ones who actually understand the knowledge, and they are the ones who teach the knowledge. لِيُنذِرُوا قَوْمَهُمْ إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَحْذَرُونَ. That these are the ones who stay behind, and they're the ones who are preaching the knowledge. So the idea over here, not everyone has to participate in a war. Not everyone has to go. There are people, they stay behind, they seek knowledge, and when these people come back from the war, or when they come back from something, they preach them. They teach them knowledge. So the idea is, not everyone has to migrate. And I gave you my opinion. SubhanAllah, we all come from different countries. We all decide. I'm telling you, tomorrow you all book a ticket and you decide you want to go back. Some of you, if you are from Pakistan, let me give you a bad news. You can't go back to Pakistan even on an Australian or a British or an American passport. Why? Because you need to get a visa. They're not even going to allow you to come back in the country, even if you were born in Pakistan, which would say in your passport. Until you have a Pakistani passport somewhere, or an ID card. If you don't have that, then you need a visa. And that visa for single entry, mashallah, is $100 American. You know, I don't want to say this, I don't want to upset my Pakistani brothers. Who would like to spend $100 to go to Pakistan? Seriously. I mean, I would like to spend that money to go somewhere else where I can see some sightseeing. The rampant corruption in Pakistan, wallahi, our country is suffering. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this country, Pakistan, the power that no other Muslim country has. And I say this, unapologetically I say this, regardless, I'm not saying that your countries are not the best, but Pakistan's the only Muslim country in the entire world who has nuclear weapon. In the entire Muslim land. You name any country, you bring the army of Turkey, you bring the army of Egypt. Pakistan's army was rated in the entire armies of the world number 7. Number 7. That is the most strategic army on the face of this earth, better than England, better than France, better than Australia, and better than Canada. So, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made us people that we have no spine and we do not speak about any issues. We're only worried about our own issues. So the idea is we cannot, if we decide today to 800,000 people, our countries are not going to take us. Let alone we go there to live. Our children are not going to be able to even live their lives properly over there. So we have a reason that we come, and that's why I disagree with this idea that you should always, yes, you will get, it's mubah, okay? I told you to live, I gave you an example, what's mubah? If you're living in Australia, I say this is mubah if you don't have an intention. What's mubah? I gave you this word, what it means. Very good, mashallah. It means you're not going to get any reward and you're not going to get any sin. So living in Australia is mubah, even if you had no 3 of the intentions. Why? Because you're establishing salah, you pray 5 times a day, because you're able to live according to your religion. Australia, one of the conditions that Shaykh ibn Baz rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, may Allah have mercy on him, he said the only reason to migrate is where you can freely practice your religion. Wallahi, I ask all of you, we can freely practice our religion. We've got a masjid over here. We just finished Maghrib Salah. I am giving you a dars on the hadith and no one's there to stop us. You go to the Middle East, you go to Emirat, you go to Saudi, and you sit down and give dars like that. Afterwards, the Imam will be gone. Wallahu alam where he is. You're not going to find him. And in this country, we have the power to speak. We've got the freedom to speak. SubhanAllah, we have the freedom to speak. We can say everything. I tell you this, SubhanAllah, Sisi in Egypt did not allow protest for Palestinians. You know how did they protest? In the match of Zamalek and Ahli. So they protested in the ground where they all came to see the game and they brought the Palestinian flags, and then that's when they were chanting. In Emirat, no protest. I asked my friend who actually lives over there, I said, how many khutbahs have been on Palestine? He said, none of the khutbahs in the last 6 weeks I have heard on Palestine. Everything is about وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى.
I'll give you one more example. It's even a step further. There was this Turkish guy who went for Umrah and he was doing dua for Palestine all by himself, and he was heard by someone and he was shackled.
Detained,
Yeah. Shackled, not just detained. He posted his shackles on his feet.
So the idea is, alhamdulillah, we're living here and we are, and you know what, people always ask me, I would never live in the East. And I told you this even last week as well. If I was asked that you have to leave the West and you have to go live somewhere, and I told you I live in Pakistan. That's the only place I'll be able to live. The only thing you can't do in Pakistan, you can't speak about the army. But everything else you can do. So the only thing in Pakistan, you cannot speak about the army. Because if you speak about the army, then you become a poster. And this is what happened to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He spoke about the army. When he spoke about every other leader, no one was worried. When he spoke about America, no one had a concern. The day he spoke about the army, he became a poster. And so the only thing in Pakistan you can't do, you cannot speak about the army, but apart from that, you say anything to anyone. No one cares. No one. So freedom of speech, wallahi, is something is very valued. It doesn't mean we speak but whatever in his we have to be careful what we say. We have responsibility, but also we have to be careful, but we should be allowed to express what we want to express. Yes.
So you mentioned about Pakistan, great things about Pakistan, so great Muslim country, freedom more than any other Muslim country. And at the same time, you also mentioned the rampant corruption there.
Yes.
So, and also there are great scholars like Mufti Usmani and other scholars, I really appreciate and I have great respect for these scholars. So my question to you, Sheikh, what these great scholars can do to make Pakistan even a better country? Like, what can the scholars play a role to eliminate those kind of rampant corruption from those countries? Is scholars missing something there, or should they do something more? Those kind of
I think they're not concerned about the corruption.
that's what we are asking. It's not good. That's my question to share. I mean, is that correct? If the scholar does not take the active participation to eliminate the corruption in the society, is that the correct position of the scholar?
I think even with the Deoband ulama, they have a different opinion on politics. So they don't want to be part of politics. Maulana Fazlur Rahman's father, Maulana Mahmud, who actually made Qadiani, he gave the fatwa, and he was the architect to make these people non-believers. He was in the parliament. The problem is when you are not going to be part of the government, you can never make a change. You have to be part of the government. Some ulama are very virtuous. They don't want to be part of the government. So when you're not part of the government, then you cannot make any change. So you're just outsider. Like look at ourselves. I mean, you're giving the example of protest. You come back every time and you see little changes. But if someone is inside the government, when someone has power, he has more power to do. He can make more changes. The problem with Pakistan is ulama are divided as well. If they want to be part of the government or they don't want to be part of the government. For example, there is a party which is very active, but they never win, which is like Gamal Islamiyah from Egypt. They have Jamaat Islami in Pakistan, which is Maulana Maududi. Maulana Maududi's party is actually very active and they're very political, but they never win anything. So they have a vision, a political vision, but the politics is a very corrupt place. People where they come into politics are liars generally, and they are not religious at all. So in order to bring that change, you have to change the entire nation. Our nation is suffering. As you said, the scholars are very little. We cannot blame them. They're doing what they can in the madrasa, in the madaris they have and everything. But when it comes to the general public, our general public is corrupted to the core. I was talking to someone, subhanallah, we've got national television. They are promoting, subhanallah, no exaggeration, adultery, dramas that women watch. I was sitting in my in-laws' house and my mother-in-law was watching a drama. This drama, imagine the people, and this is in the Muslim country, where the government is seeing and they are allowing this kind of dirt, where the sister-in-law is in love with the brother-in-law and she makes her own sister go through divorce in order to marry the brother-in-law. That's in one house. And if you look at Pakistan, the society is not like that. But when you are constantly showing this to the people, you are allowing them. You look at these children. If we allow pornography to be watched by these children, what will happen? So as a society, we have a role and we have responsibility that we do not show this garbage. And one of the pastimes in Pakistan for the women is these dramas. They watch this. They just sit down and they watch these dramas. And they're popular. And they just watch it. You get the most religious woman who just finished Maghrib Salah and she'll be on YouTube now watching the next episode which has come out today. This is a problem. This is a problem that's embedded in the society. The government does nothing. And you watch the movies. Why do you think we're corrupted? Half the time the India, mashallah, not anything against the Indians. Everyone, you're from Bangladesh, you don't speak Hindi. We are from Pakistan. We have a culture, everyone's listening to Indian music. I am a marriage celebrant. I went to a Bangladeshi wedding and alhamdulillah, when they saw me, they put the music down and they put it off. But they're listening to the Indian music. What's the Bangladesh has got to do with the Indian music? So India has corrupted the entire society, the entire fabric of Pakistan, India, Afghanistan even. Even Afghanistan, they listen to this Indian music and the Indian movies. And what's the garbage they promote? They promote everything in these movies is garbage. Nothing to do with our, and that's what you see in our society. When you look at our society, subhanAllah, you have one of the biggest ijtima in Dhaka. After Hajj, one of the biggest ijtima of Tablighi Jamaat, they come to Dhaka. That's more than 2 million people come every year. So can you tell me whether the government that's been run in your country as well, how corrupt that government is? The same situation, we all Muslims are dealing with the same problem. And then we are divided on the name of nationalism, and then we become nationalists. SubhanAllah, nationalism is one of the biggest seeds that was given by the British. They divided us. And I always say this, subhanAllah, and the people who don't know about India, Pakistan, I said British made Bangladesh and Pakistan to fail. Have you ever heard this in your lifetime? I want to show you. Bangladesh, East Pakistan here, and West Pakistan here. If you want to go see your family, you have to sit on a plane for a three-hour ride on the other side of Pakistan. And not to take anything away from Mujibur Rahman and the Bangladeshi people, they were the biggest in freedom fight for Pakistan. They were the biggest in order to bring this country in about. People, most of the Bangladeshis that sit over here, ask them, they were living in Karachi. Now let's be honest, and I will be honest because my people don't like me. Do you know what Bangladesh was supposed to make the government? But Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he said, no way that you're going to make the government. If you come over here, we'll break your legs. That's what he said. Why? Because the Bangladeshis had 51% of the population. And they were the ones to make the government. That was democracy. The problem is we don't want to speak the truth. And we just want to hide and say, oh no, my country is the best. No, I don't care about the country. We have to care about Islam. And the population of Bangladesh was larger than Pakistan. Mujibur Rahman had 51% majority to make the government of Pakistan. And this is Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the leader. He's saying to the Mujibur Rahman, if you come over here to Islamabad, I'll break your legs. So this is why do you think this is the generation of Bangladesh, is the father, the grandfatherly generation. They hated Pakistan. Why do you think they hated Pakistan? Because they saw with their own eyes what happened to them. Can you imagine people living in Karachi now, they have to pack their bags. Why? They've got a new country now, they have to migrate over there. There was a big number of Bangladeshis that lived in Karachi. It was like a hub for them. Karachi was a place, and I'm sure, we've got an uncle there, he can definitely tell us some stories about that time. Well, probably he was a young man at that time. So it is true. We have to speak the truth. We cannot hide and say, no, my country is the best and that country is the best. We cannot do that. Yes, our countries, mashallah, Allah has given us power and everything, but we have to speak the truth, wallahi. If we're not going to speak the truth, I am not here to make the brownie points with my Pakistanis. I'm the most critical of the Pakistanis. And even I have a lecture on my YouTube channel, which is called the P license. But one of the questions people ask, why do you always bag the Pakistanis? I said, why? Because I've got the P license. I said, the P license means my mother is Pakistani and my father's Pakistani. That's a P license. It's called Pakistani license. So no one can call me racist. If you were to say anything to Pakistan, you'd be a racist. You'd be a bigot. But if I say anything, I can say it. Why? Because I can say that this is what I've seen. We read. I've read the books. And I read in the books that what's happened. SubhanAllah, can you imagine if you take the haqq from someone and what's going to happen afterwards? Wallahi, Pakistan has a lesson to learn from all the countries in the region, and this will be on the channel. You've watched all my videos. I don't edit my videos. This will be on my channel. Pakistan, $1 to Afghanistan is 45 Afghani rupees. Bangladesh, also $1, the American, is close to 70, 80 the taka, okay? And India, again, it's about 40. But do you know what Pakistan, $1 American is? 190 rupees. The exchange rate is crazy. Because our country, the corruption in our country, at least you guys are under the 100 mark. We are 180, 190. And I will not be surprised it will be 200 rupees as well.
Just one update from Bangladesh. Bangladesh also rapid corrupted country. Last week the rate was under 30. Just in the latest.
Well, the Pakistanis are very, very happy, mashallah. It's a good news for them now.
I don't know anything in terms of. No, it's all what you say is refreshing to hear because not many Pakistanis want to agree. Particularly not the political part, also after 71, what has been done on the ground by military, it's immoral by Muslim people giving that to another set of Muslim people. Israeli giving Palestinians. Anyways, they say it's going somewhere. So it's very efficient.
All right.
I wanted to ask you one simple question. I don't think you will have time to go to lesson to this. So just you said about the staying in Muslim country, non-Muslim country, we are alhamdulillah practicing everything, but there is another stream that will come to us that if we stay here and we are agreeing to allow a lot of things which is not aligned to our religion, for example LGBTQ. We are now, as a nation, if we like, Australia has allowed that, so we are participating in that, and then we are subsidizing in immoral activities, different sort of, we are subsidizing the casinos and all that kind of thing. So then are we actually 100% following our religion, or are we not falling into haram in that way?
لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah will not ask you something that's beyond your scope. Now, if we live with this mentality, then none of us are eating halal. Do you know the mango that you bought? You like mangoes? Yeah. You know the mango that you bought from Coles was actually bought on interest, the seed. The tree that was plowed in Australia was actually bought on interest, on riba. And so the mangoes, the entire food items that you buy from Woolworths is actually haram. They've got that, the entire thing on interest. Our dealing is only my money giving exchange. What am I exchanging? I'm getting the goods and I am giving the money for that, and my money is halal and what I am buying is halal. So this principle that people put in our heads to cause confusion, these things are not in our hands. But so what is in our hand is that we have Muslim schools. We do not send our children to these schools. And these matters, we raise voices for these matters. We are the first ones. Whenever anything happens, our children, we say to the public school, you've got every right, even if you send your child to a public school. But I say to you, when you send your child to a school, you've actually given half your right to the teacher. Why? Because you don't know what happens in the 8 hours. You don't know. This teacher will be feeding anything. You know, you've got every right, according to the New South Wales education system, that you can take your child out from the classroom because you have responsibility of your child if there is a lesson in the classroom. So we are not directly facilitating any of that. We speak up whenever these matters come. Yes, when you are not speaking up, when you go in line with that, that's the problem. So the problem comes when you just sit down and you go with the flow. Oh no, I'm not going to say. This is the mentality. Subhanallah, we grew up in our countries like this mentality. You know, we grew up like this. Our parents never said, oh, don't go outside, say anything about the government. Why? Because the police will come and pick you up. You know, my father, may Allah give him health, alhamdulillah, with your du'as, he's been moved to the general ward now. And wanted to give you that update. So he's now in the general ward, but still in the hospital now. And whenever he listens to my lectures, he says, why do you have to do this? Other people can do it. He still has the mentality. So why do you have to say these things on the media? Other people will do it. I say, yeah, they still have this mentality. So I say to him, Dad, you know what? The other people are thinking exactly like you're thinking. Why? Because you know what happens is, this is a chain. My father will say, or this one will say it. This one will say, oh, we have 2 billion Muslims. That one will say it. And subhanAllah, we go around and 2 billion people, everyone's quiet. Why? Because everyone's waiting for that one to say. Wallahi, we are very lucky. And I say this again. I am never scared of speaking the truth. And I say it, and it's on my channels. I never edit my videos. You can go and listen to my channel. And while you're listening to my channel, do subscribe it as well. So, but you will always listen to, I say it the way it is. Because these countries allow us. I am saying to you, raise your children not to be scared of these things. You want your children to be brave. You want your children to speak the truth. But at the same time, give them responsibility. It's our job not to go out and start ridiculing others. You know, that's the problem. When you start ridiculing others, you say, oh, that one's a kafir, that one's a kafir. That's the problem. We're not saying we do this. We say what is right and we stop there. We have the younger people, I gave you this example last week. They start saying, oh, yeah, you live in the kafir land. Subhanallah, subhanallah. The man is not going to give tax, but he will be the first one in the queue in Centrelink to get the money, and he will say, yo, this is my haqq. But I don't want to give the tax. Why? My tax is going to this cause and that cause and to that cause. But you're getting the haram money anyways. We have a problem in our community. We want to get the haram money, but when we are working hard, Allah will not ask you, where did your tax go? Allah will ask you, you gave halal rizq to your children, you work hard, and this is what we're doing. Everyone sitting over here, we're trying to go and make the ends meet. Well, that's what we do. We all work. I'm sure you've got corporate people over here, you work in corporate organizations, you're working hard. You're making sure that you pay taxes, you give. Subhanallah, this is kama tudinu tudan. That's a thing in Arabic. What goes around comes around. We are giving tax. When we need it, it comes to us. When our wife is pregnant, the government make sure that the wife is in the hospital, that they give her 5,000 as a baby bonus as well. The money goes to your child. When your child is young, the money comes to your child as well. So the government is giving you as well. It's not like we live in a country where there's social security. We cannot say everything, this conspiracy theory always, oh, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. Wallahi, these people are only putting doubts in their own heads. So what you're doing is, you don't worry, as long as you're doing your part, as long as you speak up. So even your tweet on your Twitter X or anything, you write, I do not agree with the LGBT, even saying that, you've done your part. When the hadith says, وَمَنْ رَأَ مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرٍ, that whoever sees, فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدٍ, that you change with your hands. Well, we are not people who are in power, so we can't change it with our hands. And then the next stage is وَبِلِسَانِ, that we change it with our tongues. At least we all sit over here in this country, we can change it with our tongues. SubhanAllah, you've got people that are living in the Arab lands, even the ulama are not happy inside, because they get a paper from the government and they read it. Not anything less or not anything more. That's what they have to do. Every alim in Emirat, in UAE, you go to the channel, it's called Awqaf. You type Awqaf, AE, Arab Emirates, it has the Jum'ah khutbah with the date on it. It's translated in 3 languages, Urdu, English and Arabic. The Arabic goes to the Imam, and the Imam on the Jum'ah day is not the Imam, the regular Imam of the masjid. The Awqaf sends the Imam to deliver the khutbah. So the masjid's local Imam does not give the khutbah. He actually comes from the Awqaf. So he comes with the paper, he reads the paper, even the dua. He reads the dua from there, which is in the paper. And in the dua, it's the dua for Sheikh Zahid bin Sultan Al Nahyan, and it's a dua for Imarat as well. And everything in the paper is, he even reads the dua. SubhanAllah, even when you put the dua on the paper, then what's the use of it? Then where's your heart then? So we alhamdulillah, we're not saying those countries are bad. MashaAllah, people living over there have good lives, their children have good education. But then inside you feel like, what kind of a country I'm living in. SubhanAllah, people like me, when we rock up, even with our British passport, on the airport, they look at our beard. Is this the Islam that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came with? What was the word of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? La faddala Arabiyan aw ala ajamiyan aw ajamiyan aw ala Arabiyan illa bittaqwa. That's the word of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, wallahi, sometimes we look at these people, we cry. We say, may Allah guide all of these people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our Khaliq, is Raziq, is Malik. But sometimes we have to speak the truth that these people, they have the power. Wallahi, they have the power. I tell you this, today, Saudi, if he threatens, they threaten America that they will give no oil. If you do not stop the war now, we'll give no oil. You'll be amazed if you're following the international media. The only people who walked out from the conference, there was 3 Arab countries, Bahrain, Emirat and Saudi. They said, we're not going to do the embargo of oil. They agreed on ceasefire, but when it comes to put the sanctions, they said, we're not going to do the sanction. I tell you why. Saudi does not want to do the sanction. Why? Saudi wants to host the Olympics in 2030. Saudi wants to host the 2034 World Cup. So they're more worried about the World Cup and the Olympics. And because if they will stop the oil, no one's going to go there. So right now they're worried about these things. Wallahi, Muslims, we have lost our power. The ayah says, لِتَذْهَبُوا رِيحَكُمْ, that if you disperse and if you do tafriq and tafarraqa, that your rihakum, you will lose your smell, your fragrance. I'll give you an example. My Sheikh Mukhtar Arbaeen Hafidullah, he explained this ayah, this part of the ayah, amazing. He says, when you enter the room, if there's flowers everywhere, the smell of the fragrance will come to you. But if you put one pot of the flower there, one pot over there, one pot in the corner there, when you enter the room, you're not going to smell it until you go closer to the pot. This is exactly what the Muslim Ummah is now. The most suffrage that happens to the Muslims in the Arab lands are the Muslims. The worst treated workers are the Bangladeshis and the Pakistani workers in Arab lands. SubhanAllah, the cleaners of the masjid in Masjid Haram and the Harmain are who? Are actually the Arab, the Bangladeshis, the Pakistanis. You bring any other people, they're treated how they're treated over there. So we have to open our eyes, brothers. And wallahi, Allah did a favor to all of us. We came to Australia, we love each other. We talk about each other. When we were living in our countries, we were like nationalists. We never spoke about these matters. SubhanAllah, now you come to the masjid and you listen to the Imam doing Qunut Nazila. You read, you say Ameen with him. When the Imam leads the Salah, he says Ameen. Some people say Ameen, some people don't say Ameen. If we were in our countries, we were taught, if you said Ameen, your Salah is fasid. You cannot say Ameen. Whoever said Ameen is wrong. And we lived with that. When we come to this country first time, when we saw the Imam saying Ameen, we get upset. So alhamdulillah, Allah has done a favor. Now, I'm not going to be able to finish it completely, but let's move to the second part of the hadith. This is the second part. It says, وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا, that whoever travels, for this dunya or whatever in this dunya he desires, then his reward is limited to that. But then comes the next part. أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِهُهَا فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Or he wants to marry a woman and then his hijrah is only for that purpose. That's it. He's not going to get anything for that. Now, subhanAllah, look in the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not say that you cannot do hijrah for the sake of woman. It's not haram to actually do it for the sake of woman. Remember, I gave you the reason for the revelation of this hadith, that there was a woman who actually who said, whoever comes to marry me, they have to come to Madeenah. And so this man came from Makkah to marry this, and he was not even known by his name. He was known as Muhajir Ayman, the man who came for Ayman. That's what his name was, even in the hadith as well. Now, even so, subhanAllah, and also understand the hadith as well of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Fattaqud dunya wattaqun nisa." That fear this dunya, the temptation in this dunya, and also fear the woman. Why? Because the woman also comes with a lot of temptations. Now there is a famous Imam. His name is Abdul Razzaq Sina'ani. Abdul Razzaq Sina'ani was actually one of the famous Imams of Hadith. He migrated for the sake of a woman to a land of Shia. And when Abdul Razzaq Sina'ani, it's mentioned even in the books of Hadith as well, the Muhaddis actually write, even Imam al-Dhahabi writes in his book, that later on in his life, some of his aqa'id were corrupted. His aqa'id were more closer to the Shia. So understand, sometimes even these matters, woman is something, we're not saying that it's always the thing, but generally this is a fitna for man. Woman's always a fitna for man. I give you a story, and this is a story Imam al-Dhahabi also mentioned about a muazzin. A muazzin was giving adhan and he saw a beautiful woman. While giving adhan, he paused. And he started looking at the woman, and then he started gave the adhan, he completed. After the adhan, he came down and he inquired about the woman, and when he found about the woman, he said he wants to marry her. And the woman said to him that you are someone who even forgot the call of the prayer, that you've been actually given this responsibility, the amana of adhan. When you can forget the responsibility towards Allah, what's the guarantee once you marry me that you're not going to forget me as well, when you find someone better than me? So understand, Allah actually did make woman as a trial for men. And also, this is the other one where Ibn Abbas also said, وَخَلَقُ الْإِنسَانِ ضَعِيفًا. He said that this also is said, this ayah can also be, it's not خَلَقُ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. That this can also be interpreted that man is made weak when it comes to woman. Generally, subhanAllah, you see, sometimes we even compromise some of our things. Why? Because our wife wants to do things in a particular way. And we are like that. Also, there is a flip side to it. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam also, we're not saying it's always because of the fitna of that. Also, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to treat your woman well as well. This is the other flip side to it. Generally, we do not treat our women. Some men are very harsh with their wives and they don't treat them well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam clearly said that he is the best. That he said, "Khayrukum khayrukum li ahli wa ana khayrukum li ahli." That I am the best to my wife. Then the best of the people are the ones who are best to their wives. So also understand, Allah will ask you how you treated your wives as well. So this is the other thing as well. So you should, yes.
Some brothers or some sheikh translate as best to the family. Or how should I interpret this?
So the word ahl in Arabic, in linguistic sense, actually does mean family. But when you look at the ulama, when they said ahl, though, is one of the closest one, and it's actually your immediate family, which is your wife. So this is something, your family is everyone in there, your wife and your children and your parents, everyone is in there. So Allah will ask you on the day of judgment, that this is also a hadith of Rasulullah, which says to fulfill the rights of your wife. You'll be asked on the day of judgment, did you fulfill the rights of your wife? They also have rights as well. This is our religion. Our religion is based on insaf and in adl. And if we are not being just to our women, and also understand our women will become fitna in the time of Dajjal as well. Do you know the hadith that says you will be tying your women to the poles inside the house? Why? Because they'll be so attracted to the fitna that they'll break loose and they will run. They will run towards the fitna. And subhanAllah, if you look at women, women are generally more susceptible to the fitna, to the trial. For example, in modern day, you look at the dressing of the women, even the Muslim women as well, even the way they wear the hijab as well, and the temptation is more. The clothes they wear, some are struggling to wear the hijab as well. Some, when they wear the hijab, it's the way they wear the hijab as well. It's a lot of temptations. But I tell all the brothers over here, when your wives are taking those steps, and even if you feel that it's not Islamically completely, do not shun them, encourage them. So they're on the journey to actually to acquire hijab or to get there. So you have to be always with them. SubhanAllah, this society is made in a way, if we shun our women, then they will go to the people who are not shunning them. Yeah. That's why we've got this society which is completely breaking. You look at the rampant divorces. Why? Because they find in the community, or the government will give me a house, they will look after me. SubhanAllah, the divorces I'm sitting on just in the last 2 weeks, even I am now saying A'udhu Billah. I'm asking Allah to help me as well. Wallahi, we don't have power to save any marriage. The power is in the hands of Allah. Our job is nasiha. We just give them nasiha, we tell them to stay in the marriage, and then it's up to them. But subhanAllah, we've got brothers sometimes marrying just for the sake of it. I'm dealing with a brother that he has one wife, and then he went on, got another wife because he liked her, and then he's got another wife, and then now he's looking for the fourth wife as well.
In Australia?
Yes. You can have in Australia, you can have girlfriends, it's fine. You can only have one legal marriage. So the Australian society allows you to have 100 girlfriends. You can't go to jail for that. So as long as you've got the wedding done, not on paper, the Australian government does not care. You can't have 2 paperwork for 2 women. Then you can go. So when you do something halal, you can actually go to jail for that. But when you do something haram, you're okay, you're safe. So, but again, we're not saying this man's done something haram, but what you do is, we understand, we love this ayah. We go always, we say, Muthna wa thalatha wa ruba. We love this ayah. But subhanAllah, we need to understand that this comes with responsibility. Now, no one has the right to say that to marry a man marrying the second and the third and the fourth is haram. No one's got the right. You can't make something haram which Allah has made halal. Give you an example of Pakistan. Ayub Khan, the general of Pakistan, in 1966, he made the constitution of the Pakistani constitution. If you marry the second wife without the permission of the first one, you can go to jail. That's the constitution of Pakistan. This is haram. This is not Islam. You don't have to ask your first wife. You don't have to. You don't need her permission.
Will not be feel offended then if you don't.
Again, they don't take my words as it is. The problem is, I'm saying you don't need to. Islamically, you don't need to. But ethically, when you're marrying, yes, there's ethics as well in Islam. Not everything is my right, my haqq. If I start practicing my haqq and my wife starts practicing my haqq, we will be divorced the next day. That's why it's mutual understanding as well. It doesn't mean I say to my wife, but you're in the house, you have to wash the dishes and you have to, do this and do that. Also, my responsibility from the part of the sunnah to help my wife in the house as well. So we cannot be people from the east all the time. SubhanAllah, when we lived in the east, and then a wife has to come pick up the dishes and bring the dishes and make the food and everything and do the laundry. And so when we come, SubhanAllah, we are raising potatoes. Our mothers raised us as potatoes. No exaggeration. We were raised as a potato. Why? Because you're looking at the poor thing. She's going, let's say she's in those days of the month. She's going through difficulty already. She cannot look after herself. She's sick. Now she's washing the dishes. There's 4 children she's looking after. But you're a potato. Why? Because my mother said it's my wife's job. Now it's your responsibility to stand up and to say to your wife, it's okay. I'll wash the dishes. It's not haram. I'll wash the dishes today. It's fine. Qiyamah is not going to come if I wash the dishes. Wallahi, we saw with our own eyes. No exaggeration. I never saw my father ever wash any dish. Not even a cup of water. Never saw him even taking the pot from the kitchen or to bring it to the dining table. That's the culture. It doesn't mean that Islam says you have to be like that as well. We can, subhanAllah, when we give our rights, it allows the relationship to prosper. When you give something for the sake of the relationship, the other person will recognize that. So that's why Allah says fulfill the rights of the woman and also stay away from the fitna of the haram to fall into. So do 2 categories there. Do not just become Abdul Nisa, the servant of the wife, but at the same time, don't become like the one who's always giving direction. We have to be ad-deenu mu'tadil, i'tidal. We have to be in the middle. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to do his own chores in the house. We learn from the seerah, washing his own clothes as well. So if you want to be like the Nabi, then you have to follow his example as well. Our culture was evil. I tell you, our culture was evil. Why? Because my mother, old lady, is pressing my clothes. Why? Because that was a culture. That subhanAllah, I press my own clothes. So we learned the hard way. We learned the hard way. Never knew how to even press my clothes. So you learn the hard way. You know what? Now you have to do the things on your own. It's my clothes. I have to do my own things as well. And that's why we have to teach our children. And don't just be like on your daughter, she has to do everything. No, your son also. And I say to you, don't have double standards for your children. I mean this. Why? Because don't just be like, I'm telling you, you have all the boys are sitting over here. I don't know if there's any daughters on the other side. When you allow your son to go and spend the night at the friend's house, then remember your daughter is also watching. And she will ask you, I want to go to my friend's house. If you do not allow your daughter to go, then tell your son as well. You're not going anywhere. Treat them the same. When you can allow your son to go for a movie and you say to your daughter, no, you can't go. You have to treat everyone. SubhanAllah, we never had that problem in my house because we never had a sister. We're all sons. But even then, my father, may Allah give him long life and health, he had double standards towards me than the other 2. And I'm the middle one, the problem child. So basically, he had double standards towards me. But the idea is, our father was very strict. He never allowed anyone to go live anywhere, even though he had sons. He had some principles. You know, subhanAllah, we have so many graduations today. You have a kindergarten graduation, you have year 6 graduation, you have a year 10 graduation, you have a year 12 graduation. MashaAllah, the children are just graduating. What have they achieved? Nothing. Nothing. They have achieved nothing. What a kindergarten child achieved nothing in their life, but MashaAllah, graduation happening over there. Well, what the culture over here is to just reward for everything. Or subhanAllah, you put the rubbish in the bin, merit award. Well, that's a responsibility, it's a social responsibility to look after the society. So we've got this culture. So in our days, we had no graduation. Even the school did not do any graduation for the A levels or the O levels. You know, the people that come from overseas, they know what O levels and A levels are. So in the UK, the system is A levels. So in A levels, they used to have prom night. So this was like formal. My father said to me, if you go for the formal, don't come back to the house. And I said, everyone's going. He said, you can go, it's fine, but don't come back to the house. So you know the formal in year 12, what happens in today's day and age if your child goes to public school, it's like a proper enjoyment, and there's only children over there. So he understood, he had those principles. He was very strict with those things. So we have to, inshallah, create a society where we promote the right ethics of this religion. So inshallah, we don't have, we're only going to take, I can take some questions. We have about 4 or 5 minutes there. But we still have to speak about what intention is. But if you look at the hadith, we've covered the hadith completely. So basically, we spoke about إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. And we said that this was the repetition of the word, and understand in fiqh what it meant is when you are giving, when you're repeating something, then basically the idea is the first instance is that you keep the conclusion in mind, and the reward is the second category. So the second category was وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ إِمْرٍ مَا نَوَى. So basically, this is whatever your intentions are, you'll be actually rewarded to that. So the idea is the first part of this hadith is the end goal, and the second part of the hadith is the reward. So when you have the end goal in your mind, then you will get the reward. So whatever you have. So inshallah, when I speak about the intention next week, and next week is the last class because I'm traveling to see my father. So I'll be gone inshallah, and then we'll start in February. So I'm not coming back until the mid of January. So I'm not going to be back. So it's school holidays as well. So we'll start in February inshallah. Next week I'll cover hadith 5 and the remaining part. Why I'll cover hadith 5? Because it's about bid'ah. So intentions, if you can't just say if you've got the right intention, then the action that you're doing. So the action that you do also has to be in accordance to the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can't just say my intentions are good and you're doing something which is not in accordance to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's why I want to bring the hadith number 5 before the hadith 2 and 3 and 4. And then فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So if you were, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So whoever actually made a hijrah for the sake of Allah or His Messenger, then that hijrah is for the sake of Allah and for the sake of the Messenger. And then we said, وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ لِلدُّنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا. That if your hijrah is to seek something from this dunya, أَوْ إِمْرَأَةٍ يَنْكِهُهَا, or if you were to marry someone for the sake of that, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Then your hijrah is only for that. So we also spoke about the matters which is mubah, and inshallah when I give you the intention, carry on with the hadith, the mubah actions are allowed. If you do anything mubah in the religion, it does not make something haram or halal. You don't get any sin for that, you don't get any reward for that. But you can convert the mubah into something sunnah. For example, if you are eating, when the food comes, everyone forgets. If you're eating, it's halal. You don't get any reward for eating. You don't get any sin for eating. But if you eat with your right hand, that's following the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You say Bismillah. You eat from what is close to you. And then while you're eating, you make intention, oh Allah, make me strong so I can pray 5 times a day. Allah make me strong so I can look after my family. Now this mubah action has become sunnah. Now you're getting the reward of something which there had no reward in it. You know, I'll finish off very quickly. I want to give one example. This is an example from one of the great sheikhs from Hind, and this is Jalaluddin Qasmi. So Maulana Jalaluddin Qasmi, he was asked, he said, my teacher, he gave an example, he said, my teacher asked the engineer when he was making a plan for the house to put a window on a particular side, and the engineer said, that is hard. Why do you want to put the window there? This is where the air is going to come. The man said, I want the window there because the masjid is over there, and every time when I will open the window, I can hear the adhan from there. Now subhanallah, having the window here or there is mubah. But to put the window exactly in that direction of the masjid, now every time that window is open, you get reward for that. So that's why we have to be smart in our religion. The actions that we do in our lives, you change the intention and you make it according to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now you get rewarded. Every time you sit in the car, it's okay. But when you sit in the car and you make the right intention, and when you drive according to the right intention, according to the sunnah, what's according to the sunnah? Even if you're getting late, you're not driving 100 on a 40 zone. MashaAllah, most of the people with the longest beard, they've got the most fines on their licenses. And so we have to be, when we uphold, you know, this religion, we uphold in every aspect of the life. We just don't say, I only follow this religion for this and for this and for that. So inshallah, over there we're going to bring an end. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفر الله إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.